The overhead is one of the least practiced shots in tennis, and logically a lot of players at the recreational level, but even at the junior level, struggle with this shot. And here's the reason why. Players don't practice this shot because it's very difficult to get a nice lob fed to you, especially at the recreational level or at the junior level. So players don't get to practice the overhead unless they're taking a lesson from a coach. So a great way to practice the overhead is to practice overheads on the wall. Now a lot of you guys are going to be confused with the drill that I'm about to show you, because I'm going to hit the ball into the ground. And you guys are probably thinking, Nick, aren't these overheads going into the net? And they are not going into the net at all, because if you take a look at where I'm standing, this is a similar distance from the baseline to the wall that you would find on the court from the baseline to the net. So think about it. Are you hitting overheads from the baseline? No. You're hitting overheads close to the net. So if we imagine this is a court, you would normally hit overheads somewhere around here. So now when you back up to close to the baseline on the wall, if you happen to have a marking for the baseline, if not, you can measure it and mark it yourself. And now if you aim to hit your overhead close to the wall, that ball will definitely go over the net on the court. So there's absolutely no worries. This drill works perfectly fine. It transfers really well onto the real court. So let me show you how to do this overhead exercise on the wall. Now I'm going to say that this is a very difficult drill to execute. It does require quite a high skill level, because you're going to have to be accurate with your overhead, number one, but also you're going to have to move your feet a lot and track the ball really well. So the degree of difficulty is high, but if you start doing it, you will get better with it over time. Now to understand the concept, simply stand close to the wall and just bounce the ball into the ground, onto the wall. Let the ball ricochet off the wall back into your hand. Just get a feel of how this is going to work. And do it very slowly at first. Just get a feel for this. And now with time, you can start slowly backing up. Now when you start, you're going to start in a trophy position. Don't try to take any type of take backs on the overhead. This is absolutely unnecessary. The overhead technique does not require overhead. So you're going to put your racket right here in the trophy position. You're going to toss the ball up like you would on the serve, and now you're going to hit the ball very gently into the ground. And now you're going to have to track this ball, because you see that the ball is not bouncing very accurately. I'm going to have to watch the ball and move my feet at the same time. Now hitting very gently, and this is what you should do as well. And now with time, you're going to have more success. You're going to get more overheads in. Your confidence is going to grow, and now you can start taking bigger cuts at the overhead. Now remember, the feet have to consistently be moving. That was actually the wall's fault. Like I said, the wall doesn't always give you an even return. Okay, now I'm going to try to put a little bit more juice on there. You can do backhand overheads as well. I lost my rhythm a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to rip now. Oh God, so good. Guys, this is a very physically demanding exercise, because what I find in tennis, there's nothing more exhausting than moving backwards and hitting overheads. It's by far the most physically demanding thing that you can do in tennis. Therefore, practicing overheads on the wall will not only develop your overhead, but it will also give you a good workout. Let me do another round. Backhand. This is good stuff. Real quick, let's talk overhead fundamentals, because without them, you're gonna have a hard time being successful at this drill. So when that ball's flying in the air, I want that non-dominant hand. If you're right-handed, it's gonna be your left hand, almost as if you were trying to catch the ball. And that's an exercise in itself. You can do in the beginning. Put your left arm up and catch the ball. This will give you a natural tilt of the shoulders, which will then result in a cartwheeling movement once you accelerate upwards towards the overhead. Also, as I said before, the racket has to be in a trophy position. It can't be too far away from your head. Keep the racket tip fairly close to your head. Also, make sure the elbow is not too high and the left hand is going to be up, naturally giving you this beautiful tilting motion. And I heard somebody once say it looks like a Nike swoosh. So make the Nike swoosh on your overhead. Now here's the crucial thing to have success on the overhead. You're going to have to wait a long time to initiate your overhead. You know why? Because there's really no backswing on the overhead. You're starting from the trophy face, and the movement going from here into the contact is literally milliseconds. It's going to be an extremely fast movement. You're going to accelerate really fast. So that means in the context of the incoming ball, you can literally wait until that ball is very close to you. You should be almost as if it's going to fall right at your nose. So you're going to wait as long as possible to accelerate. If you start taking your racket down into the racket drop too early, you're going to reduce the range of motion. You're going to be accelerating from a lower place, and therefore you're going to be losing a lot of power on your overhead. Now, another thing that's super important, not only on the wall, but also when you get on the real court and start hitting overheads, is that you don't allow the ball to get behind you. Once that ball is behind you, now you have no chance, because you're going to be making contact way back here, unable to get any type of power. So this is where the feet come in. You got to move your feet tremendously well on the wall. You got to track the ball really well. You got to always keep that ball in front of you. Do not allow it to get behind you. Now, when it comes to the stroke mechanics, there's going to be a rotation into the contact, just like you do on your flat and your slice serve. Now, when it comes to the finish, remember, anytime you're playing on the wall, the finish is going to be slightly abbreviated. Normally on the real court, that finish is going to go towards your left pocket if you're right-handed. That might not necessarily be the case. On the wall, the finish will be abbreviated slightly, because that ball is going to come back to you a little bit faster than on a real court. All right, so let's see if these mechanics that I just explained work. There it is. Woo! Now, did you guys see that last overhead I did over the net? That one actually was probably going out on the real court. That was hit way too straight. So again, don't worry about hitting into the ground. That ends up being the perfect way to hit an overhead. So overheads on the wall will not only teach you a lot of the mechanics that you need for overheads on a real court, but it's also a fantastic workout, and it works on your ball recognition and footwork like no other drill. So guys, get out there and practice your overheads on the wall.